Remember those old-school political campaigns? You know, the ones with rallies, posters, and maybe a catchy jingle on the radio. Those days are fading fast. Welcome to the age of digital campaigning, where the battle for votes is fought not on streets, but in the depths of your smartphone. Today, political parties are armed with sophisticated tools that allow them to target you with laser-like precision. These aren't your grandfather's political ads. We're talking about highly personalized messages, tailored to your age, location, interests, and even your online behavior. This is the world of targeted political advertising and its more insidious cousin, micro-targeting. These practices leverage the vast amounts of data collected about us online to influence our voting decisions. But are they simply a natural evolution of political campaigning? Or do they pose a threat to the very fabric of our democracy? Buckle up, folks, because we're about to dive deep into the murky waters of digital campaigning. Microtargeting isn't some futuristic concept. It's happening right now as you read this. It all starts with data. The digital breadcrumbs we leave behind as we browse the internet, shop online, and interact with social media. This data is a goldmine for political strategists. Companies known as data brokers collect and aggregate this information, often from sources you wouldn't even imagine. Publicly available data like voter registration lists, land records, and even magazine subscriptions are fair game. Then there's the information we unwittingly hand over to social media companies and apps, from our browsing history to our location data. This data is then fed into powerful algorithms that create detailed profiles of individual voters. These profiles go far beyond basic demographics. They can reveal our political leanings, our deepest fears, and our most closely held values. Armed with this information, political campaigns can craft messages designed to resonate with specific individuals, often exploiting their biases and vulnerabilities. Imagine this: you're scrolling through your social media feed and you see an ad for a political candidate. You might think, well, that's normal, it's election season. But what if that ad wasn't just any ad? What if it was specifically designed for you based on your online activity? Creepy, right? That's the power of data in micro-targeting. Political parties can now access and analyze vast amounts of data about you, painting a scarily accurate picture of your political leanings, values, and even your fears. They know what websites you visit, what you post about, who you follow, and what makes you tick. This information isn't just used to show you ads, it's used to manipulate your emotions and influence your vote. They can target you with messages that play on your anxieties, exploit your biases, and even spread misinformation to sway your opinion. It's like having a political campaign whisper directly into your ear, telling you exactly what you want to hear. This level of data collection and analysis raises serious concerns about privacy and manipulation. How much of ourselves are we willing to give up in the name of political campaigning? And what happens when this information falls into the wrong hands? Now, you might be thinking, so what if I see a few personalized ads? I'm smart enough to see through the propaganda, and maybe you are. But the insidious thing about micro-targeting is that it operates beneath the surface of our awareness. When we are constantly bombarded with messages tailored to our biases, it creates an echo chamber where our existing beliefs are reinforced and opposing viewpoints are silenced. This can lead to political polarization and make it difficult for voters to engage in meaningful dialogue across ideological divides. Moreover, micro-targeting can be used to suppress voter turnout. Imagine receiving a barrage of negative ads about a candidate you support, highlighting their flaws and painting a bleak picture of their chances of winning. This could discourage you from even bothering to vote, believing your vote won't make a difference. The real danger of micro-targeting lies in its ability to manipulate voters without their knowledge. It creates an illusion of choice, making us believe we are making informed decisions when in reality we are being steered towards a particular outcome. This undermines the very foundation of a healthy democracy, where informed and independent citizens are essential for a functioning society. Section 5. A patchwork system, existing regulations in India. So, who's keeping these digital cowboys in check? Well, in India, the regulatory landscape for targeted political advertising is, to put it mildly, a work in progress. Existing laws like the Information Technology Act of 2000 and the Representation of the People Act of 1951 weren't designed for the complexities of the digital age. The Election Commission of India has made some attempts to regulate online campaigning, such as requiring candidates to declare their social media accounts and expenditure on online advertising. However, these measures are often seen as toothless, failing to address the nuanced issues of micro-targeting and data privacy. While the Supreme Court's decision to strike down the electoral bonds scheme in 2024 was a step towards transparency in political funding, it did little to address the opaque world of micro-targeting. The court acknowledged the risks of algorithmic surveillance in elections and emphasized the need for regulations to protect voter autonomy. However, concrete measures to regulate micro-targeting practices are still lacking. The current regulatory framework in India is like a patchwork quilt, full of holes and inconsistencies. This lack of clear guidelines creates a breeding ground for misuse and manipulation, leaving Indian voters vulnerable to the dark side of digital campaigning. Section 6, Real-world examples when micro-targeting goes wrong. The dangers of micro-targeting aren't just hypothetical. We've seen real-world examples of how these tactics can be used to mislead voters and undermine democratic processes. Remember the Cambridge Analytica scandal? That was just the tip of the iceberg. In the 2024 US presidential election, Kamala Harris' campaign faced backlash for an ad targeting black men. The ad, featuring a speed dating scenario, was criticized for being out of touch and patronizing. It highlighted how even well-intentioned micro-targeting can backfire, reinforcing stereotypes and alienating the very voters it seeks to attract. Meanwhile, in India, the use of WhatsApp for political campaigning has raised concerns about the spread of misinformation. The platform's encrypted nature makes it difficult to track and regulate the spread of fake news and hate speech, which can be easily micro-targeted to specific communities. These examples highlight the urgent need for greater scrutiny and regulation of micro-targeting practices. When political campaigns are allowed to operate in the shadows, exploiting our data and manipulating our choices, it erodes trust in our democratic institutions. Section 7, the money trail financing targeted political ads. Here's a question that might make you uncomfortable. Who's paying for all these targeted ads? Follow the money and you'll find a complex web of political parties, corporations and wealthy individuals, all vying for influence over your vote. In the 2024 Indian general elections, political parties spent crores of rupees on digital advertising. Platforms like Google and Facebook have become go-to avenues for reaching voters, with their sophisticated targeting options proving irresistible to campaign strategists. But the lack of transparency in political funding makes it difficult to track exactly who is bankrolling these campaigns and what their motivations might be. This raises concerns about undue influence, where special interest groups or foreign actors could potentially use micro-targeting to sway elections in their favor. The opaque nature of digital campaign financing demands greater transparency. Voters have a right to know who is trying to influence their vote and what their agenda might be. Without greater accountability, the flow of money into targeted political advertising threatens to further erode public trust in the democratic process. Section 8, towards a fairer system, recommendations for reform. So, how do we fix this mess? It's clear that we need robust regulations to ensure that targeted political advertising is used responsibly and ethically. Here are a few ideas to get the ball rolling. First, we need greater transparency in political advertising. Platforms like Facebook and Google should be required to maintain public databases of political ads, including information about who paid for them, how much they spent, and who they targeted. Second, we need to empower users to control their own data. Individuals should have the right to access, correct, or delete the data that political parties hold about them. We also need opt-in mechanisms for political advertising so people aren't bombarded with unwanted messages. Finally, we need to strengthen the Election Commission's powers to monitor and enforce regulations related to digital campaigning. This includes providing the Commission with the resources and technical expertise to investigate potential violations and impose meaningful penalties on those who break the rules. These are just a few starting points, and much more needs to be done to address the complex challenges posed by targeted political advertising. But by taking concrete steps to increase transparency, empower users, and strengthen enforcement, we can begin to level the playing field and ensure that our elections are fair, free, and truly democratic. Section 9, Conclusion, Safeguarding Democracy in the Digital Age. We've journeyed through the intricate world of targeted political ads and micro-targeting, and one thing is clear. These powerful tools are a double-edged sword. While they can be used to engage voters and communicate effectively, they also have the potential to manipulate, divide, and undermine our democratic values. The digital revolution has fundamentally changed the way elections are fought and won. As technology continues to evolve, it's crucial that our regulations keep pace, ensuring that these powerful tools are used responsibly and ethically. The future of our democracy depends on it. By demanding greater transparency, accountability, and user control over data, we can harness the power of technology to strengthen rather than weaken our democratic institutions. The choice is ours. Let's make sure our voices are heard, not manipulated, in the digital age.